Men 50 plus do only. These 5 exercises fix 95% of your body problems and skyrocket testosterone. Introduction: cutting through the noise. If you've spent any time scrolling through fitness content aimed at men over 50, you've likely encountered titles exactly like this one. They promise miraculous transformations, overnight hormone optimization, and a magical fix for decades of wear and tear. Let's be brutally honest up front. No 5 exercises will literally fix 95% of your body problems, and nothing you do in the gym will skyrocket your testosterone to levels it had at 25. Hormones, joint health, metabolic function, and mobility don't respond to internet hype. They respond to consistent, intelligent stress, adequate recovery, proper nutrition, and time. But here's what is absolutely true. If you're a man over 50 and you want to reclaim strength, restore joint resilience, improve posture, boost metabolic health, optimize your endocrine function, and train in a way that serves you for the next 30 years instead of breaking you down in the next 30 months, you don't need a complicated split, 47 isolation machines, or daily 2-hour sessions. You need movement patterns that mirror human function, exercises that train multiple systems simultaneously, and a program that respects recovery capacity while still demanding progressive overload. That's exactly what this guide delivers. The SKYROCKET 5 exercises outlined here are not arbitrary. They are the distilled essence of human movement mechanics: squat, hinge, push, pull, and carry. They are scalable, joint-friendly, highly adaptable, and scientifically supported for maintaining muscle mass, bone density, cardiovascular efficiency, and hormonal balance in aging men. They require minimal equipment, can be performed almost anywhere, and form a complete training foundation that addresses posture, mobility, strength, grip, core stability, and systemic resilience. Over the next 10,000 words, we will break down exactly why these 5 exercises work, the physiological mechanisms behind their effectiveness, how to perform them with precision, how to progress and regress them based on your current capacity, how to structure them into a weekly program, and how to pair them with recovery, nutrition, and lifestyle practices that genuinely support testosterone optimization and longevity. This is not a quick fix. This is a blueprint. If you follow it consistently, intelligently, and patiently, you will absolutely transform how your body feels, moves, and functions. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The reality of aging. Testosterone and exercise aging is not a disease, but it does bring predictable physiological shifts. After age 30, men experience a gradual decline in testosterone, typically around 1% per year. By 50, many men notice changes in energy, recovery capacity, body composition, libido, mood, and strength. This is often labeled andropause or late-onset hypogonadism. But it's crucial to understand that the decline is rarely as dramatic as marketing suggests, and it is highly modifiable. Testosterone does not exist in a vacuum. It interacts with cortisol, insulin, growth hormone, IGF-1, thyroid hormones, and sex hormone-binding globulin, SHBG. Lifestyle factors dictate how these hormones behave. Chronic stress, poor sleep, sedentary behavior, excessive alcohol, nutrient deficiencies, and visceral fat accumulation all suppress natural testosterone production and increase estrogenic activity. Conversely, resistance training, adequate protein, quality sleep, sunlight exposure, and stress management create an internal environment where hormones can function optimally. When fitness content claims an exercise will skyrocket testosterone, it's usually referring to acute hormonal spikes observed in research. Heavy compound lifts do cause temporary increases in testosterone, growth hormone, and catecholamines immediately post-workout. However, these acute spikes last minutes to hours and do not permanently elevate baseline testosterone. What does matter is the chronic adaptation. Consistent resistance training preserves lean mass, improves insulin sensitivity, reduces visceral fat, enhances sleep architecture, and downregulates chronic inflammation. All of these factors create a hormonal milieu that supports higher, healthier baseline testosterone over time. The real value of training after 50 isn't about chasing hormonal spikes. It's about combating sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, dynapenia, loss of strength, osteopenia, bone density decline, and metabolic slowdown. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It improves glucose disposal, supports joint stability, maintains functional independence, and acts as an endocrine organ itself, releasing myokines that reduce systemic inflammation and support brain health. Strength training preserves this tissue. The claim that 5 exercises can fix 95% of your body problems is rhetorical, but it points to a valid principle. Most chronic complaints in men over 50 stem from a few root causes. Poor posture leads to neck, shoulder, and lower back pain. Weak posterior chains and tight hip flexors contribute to knee dysfunction and pelvic tilt. Lack of upper body pulling strength rounds the shoulders forward, compressing the thoracic spine and impairing breathing. Sedentary lifestyles reduce cardiovascular efficiency, grip strength, and bone loading. Core instability translates to compromised movement under load. The 5 exercises in this guide directly address these patterns. They restore balance, load the skeleton appropriately, train full range motor control, and build systemic resilience. They won't fix a torn meniscus or reverse advanced arthritis, but they will prevent the majority of degenerative complaints and restore functional capacity to levels most men haven't felt in decades. Understanding this shifts the mindset from quick fix to long-term investment. Hormones, joints, muscles, and metabolism respond to consistency, not intensity alone. The exercises we're about to explore are tools. How you use them, how often you use them, and how you support them with recovery will determine your results. Let's examine why only 5 are necessary. Chapter 2. Why only 5 exercises? The science of efficiency and movement patterns. Modern fitness culture often equates progress with complexity. More exercises, more machines, more splits, more volume. For younger athletes with high recovery capacity, this can work. For men over 50, it's often counterproductive. Recovery capacity declines with age, joint tolerance changes, time becomes a premium. Life demands shift. The goal is no longer maximal hypertrophy or sport-specific peak performance. It's longevity, functionality, pain-free movement, and sustainable strength. This is where movement patterns triumph over isolated exercises. Human movement is built on foundational mechanics: squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling, rotating, and carrying. These patterns recruit multiple joints, muscle groups, and neural pathways simultaneously. They train coordination, balance, proprioception, and core stability. They load the skeleton in ways that stimulate bone remodeling. They elevate heart rate and metabolic demand without requiring hours of cardio. And they scale infinitely. Research on minimal effective dose training consistently shows that 2 to 4 full-body sessions per week focusing on compound movements yield superior strength, hormonal, and metabolic outcomes compared to fragmented, machine-based routines. A landmark study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that older adults training 3 times weekly with basic compound lifts experienced significant increases in lean mass, bone mineral density, insulin, sensitivity, and functional capacity over 12 months. Another study in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise demonstrated that grip strength, heavily trained through loaded carries, is one of the strongest predictors of all-cause mortality and cardiovascular health in aging populations. The 5 exercises selected here represent the most efficient, safest, and most adaptable expression of these foundational patterns. Goblet squat. Lower body push, anterior core engagement, hip, knee, ankle mobility. Romanian deadlift. Posterior chain dominance, hip hinge mechanics, spinal integrity. Push-up. Horizontal push, scapular control, chest, shoulder, triceps development. Inverted row. Horizontal pull, thoracic extension, postural restoration, back thickness. Farmer's walk. Full body integration, grip strength, anti-rotation core stability, cardiovascular conditioning. Together, they cover every major muscle group, train both flexion and extension, balance anterior and posterior chains, load the spine safely, challenge the cardiovascular system, and develop real-world strength. They require no gym membership, minimal equipment, and can be adjusted for any injury history or mobility limitation. They also eliminate the decision fatigue that derails consistency. When your routine is simple, clear, and proven, you show up. When you show up consistently, you adapt. When you adapt, you transform. But efficiency only works when execution is precise. Let's dive into the first exercise. Chapter 3. Exercise number 1. The goblet squat. Front-focused squat pattern. The squat is often called the king of lower body exercises, but for men over 50, the traditional barbell back squat can be problematic. It places significant compressive load on the lumbar spine, requires substantial shoulder mobility to rack the bar, and often encourages compensatory patterns in those with hip or ankle restrictions. The goblet squat solves these issues while delivering superior neuromuscular training. Biomechanics and muscle recruitment. Holding a kettlebell or dumbbell in front of the chest shifts the center of mass forward, naturally encouraging an upright torso.